Okay, let's start. It's snowing outside. It's so exciting. So there is slight latency. So I think you're like a minute or two behind me at the moment. So we'll be a little bit slow with the chats tonight. But yeah, welcome to the Felt Along this month. For those of you who haven't felted before, I'm going to do a quick introduction to needle felting, and then we're going to get on with making this Shetland sunrise. If I'm going too fast, somebody give me a shout in the comments. So in your kits, you will have got a mat. So we're always going to felt on the mat. Don't felt on your table or anything like that, or on your knee like I've done before. You'll have some pre-felt. That's this stuff. This is what we're going to felt onto, and it should have a design on it just as a wee guide to get you started. There would also have been a needle holder with lots of needles. So I'll show you how this works. So in here you've got your felting needles. So these are sharp on one end and they're barbed, and the other end has a wee hook. And then you've got a wee tool in here. So you pull out the wee plug, grab one of the needles and sit it in the wee groove that's there, with the hook on the thin end and the needle going on the fatter end. And then all you're doing is putting it back into there. I'll do that one more time. So you've got the fat end and the thin end, sits in the groove, and you just push the hook over the thin end. And so you can use that. You get these with multiple ones or single ones, or you can just felt with the needles alone, which is what I'm going to do tonight. Also in your pack, you've got some tops. So this is basically what comes off the sheep, except it's been washed and brushed, and some of them have been dyed as well. The trick to working with this is that you've got the length, or the staple length of the fibre is about this long. So if you want to pull off just a little bit, have your hands far apart and pull. If your hands are too close together, not going to pull. And if there's any twist in it at all, it's also not going to pull apart. Twist is what makes it strong when you're making yarn. So have it nice and flat, hands far apart, and pull off little bits. And with felting, less is always more. So at the moment we want to work with less and build up depth of colour as we're going. So that is a brief introduction to needle felting. Before we start, I do have to apologise, my hands are covered in cuts at the moment. I'm moving shop, and me and my dad have spent the last 2 days completely rebuilding a new shop, and there's just been so much pain, but it is worth it, and I'm really excited to reopen soon. So let's get started on Shetland Sunrise. So you'll see on your layout, I have done a circle, but you want to go a little bit outside the edge of the circle as you're felting, so when you put it into its frame, it fills it nicely. But to start off with, we're going to work, keep that in frame, there we go. We're going to start off with the sort of back colours and work forward. So I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to lay that just below the island and just above the island, just as a base, maybe even a little bit on the island. Now when you're felting, you always want to go straight up and down. You never want to bend your needle. That's when needles get broken, and nobody likes a broken needle. So I'm just going up and down, keeping my fingers away so I'm not stabbing myself, and putting in a thin layer of white. We're going to go over this with different colours. And if you hear any banging, knocking, or strange noises, Dad is still in the other room fixing stuff. So I do apologise for that. So I know we are essentially felting white on white, but it does make a slight difference. There we go. So we've got a little bit of white, and then we're going to come up and we're going to put in some yellow. It is the new shop, Morgan, is very exciting. I cannot wait to be finished. It looks amazing just now with everything everywhere. So an important point to note just now is the white. I'm going to keep white there. So that area and that area. I'm going to put a tiny bit above, going to the island, and below on both sides. So that's where, if you're imagining where the sun is, that's where the sun's going to be in the sky, and that's where the sun's going to be in the reflection. So I'm going to lay down. I'm going to put quite a bit more yellow up top. Because the more you layer the colours, you'll see the different colours just shining through in tiny sections, which is really nice. I'm also going in from the edge. I'm just trying to keep a white bit there and a white bit there. You can see how I've laid it on, just in really thin streaks going across. We can always add more in later. And the other joy of needle felting, which I know a lot of you enjoy, is that if you've put something in the wrong place, especially at this stage, you can just pull it off. It's really forgiving as a medium. You can always change it about and shift it. I'm just building up some yellow about, and I'm definitely going over the edges, covering up. You will later on cut around the edges if you're putting it in a frame. I know there is one lady tonight who is not going to be putting it in a frame, but is going to make it into a book cover, which I'm so excited to see. So you can just make it square, following exactly pretty much what I'm doing, but making it square and filling in right to the edges. There we go. So I'm just loosely felting down just now. I'm not working too hard over it because I really want to build up the colours and see if I like it before we fix anything down. So I'm going to take, working up the colours again, I'm going to take some orange, and this time I'm going to put a really thin line just below where the horizon would be. Put that in. And then working around the sides, either side there, kind of a little bit below where the yellow starts. And then just putting it right the way to the bottom. So you can see I've left some of the yellow clear, so you can see the yellow. And I've got the orange coming in at the sides, and then this thin line on the horizon. And I'm liable to change. I reserve the right to change my mind as I'm going along. I'm going to do the same in the top. I'm going to pull a little bit of that red, that orange at the moment, going into that white, just to give it, especially at the bottom, this is the water area here. So you can have little reflections and darker colours coming in later on to give the appearance of waves in the bottom. The top I'm going to try and be a lot smoother. And I'm going to put some in the top. And again, you can fill it up and work over it because the depth really is just lovely. And again, a tiny bit here, although I don't know exactly where the hills are going yet. I'm going to still put in. Sometimes I want to just leave it like that. Put some hills in. Hold on, let's do an example. Put some hills in. And there you have quick and easy sunset. No, we're going to work on it. So I'm going to start putting in my yellow just below, or my yellow. You can tell I've been working hard the last couple of days. My brain's melted. The orange. There we go. Again, putting it around the edges. So there's more around the edges and it's kind of fading into the center. Now it's really good practice to pull your work off the mat. So on the back you can see the colours are starting to felt through. Got these little areas. And at the moment the pre-felt is still quite malleable, so you can reshape it to be the shape that you want. And the more we work into it, the solider it will be, the more fixed it will be. So tell me in the comments, has anybody done any felting in between this month? I would love to see it in the YouTube group. Not YouTube, Facebook group. There we go. So we've got it does look very strange now. We've got a little base of orange. We're probably going to put in a little bit more orange. At the sides here, I like the little tendrily ends of the fibre. So to get double the tendrily ends, I'm going to fold it in half because that bit's going to be off the edge anyway. And to place it in, and that just thickens it up without adding too much, without losing too much at the edges. I like painting. I'm at the moment sketching out colours and might change stuff as I'm going. But I'm fairly happy with that, so I'm going to start getting some blues in. I'm going to start with the, so last time I put the lighter blue on top, but I think I'm going to swap it around and put the lighter blue on now. And it is just a tiny bit of this light blue that we are going to be putting in, just to give sort of the last of the first of the blue sky. This is a sunrise, the first of the blue sky just peeking through. So it's just a little bit higher than the orange, and it does look a bit weird just now, but it will all come together. Once we work into it a little bit longer, don't worry. And yours doesn't have to look like this. It can be anything. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue down the bottom, just the very bottom. And then tiny tendrils are going to come in up at the sides. So I'm pulling tiny, tiny amounts and just letting them come up around. There we go, and the same on the top. A little bit more on the top this time. Just laying it down so that you can see the blue, you can see the orange, and I'm going to put a couple, not on the top, not too many tendrils are going in. There we go, so we have block out the colour. So let's have a quick look at it. I'm happy with the proportions there. I might move it up a little bit. I'm going to put some more blue up the top, I think. This will all make a lot more sense as soon as we put the island in. At the moment it just looks a bit strange, but do not panic. And if different colours go in different places a little bit, don't worry. I am going to add a tiny bit of the lighter blue, just a tiny amount. Spread it out so it's just the tiniest hint of it on top. I'm going to do that with a few colours as I'm building up my layers. Before I go any further, I'm going to put in the hill of the island, and that will make all of the sense then. The island is the dark brown. I'm sort of aiming. Your island can be any shape you want, it's your own choice of island. But I like to have a little dip in the centre and going out on either side. I'm going to just carefully, without too much overspill, fix that down. Give it a bit of shape. And now my island has houses and people on it, maybe even a town, might be Lerwick, depending on where you're approaching Shetland. So I'm going to put a little white line just at the bottom, just super thin. To give maybe even just one side, the tiniest bit. Give the impression. So the more you fill in little bits, it'll give you the impression of twinkling lights. So it's not quite a solid line. There we go. That's making a lot more sense now. I'll do a little tiny line of houses on that side as well. There we go, so we've roughed it out. Let's have a quick check in the frame to see how it is, and I'll go back over what we've done briefly in case I'm going too fast for anyone. Open up the frame. You open up the frame completely, so it's right at the edge of that screw, and then line it up and put it over. So I really like that, but I think there's not enough colour here. I want to pull up some of that colour so it's more in there and have a bit more orange in the reflection. Although I do like that as a sunset. Sunrise. Sunrise. I'm going to add in some more colour and we're going to start working into it because it's still super light and fluffy just now. It needs a lot more felting. So I'm going to do the same as what I did before. I'm quite happy with the white base. I'm going to add in a little bit more yellow just below the island. And I'm going to cover that up with some more orange. And I've left a smaller gap there. Now the layering of colour in needle felting is such an important part. And I love seeing all the colours as they come through. And especially just now, you've still got a lot of freedom to move the colours about and play with them. You're in control of your sunrise. Again, I'm going to pull just a thin bit of orange for just below the island. Now, depending on what that's better. Depending on what you want to do, you can put in a couple of reflections of the island if you like. I'm going to try it and see how I think it looks. So to do that, I'm going to grab some of the brown and really thinly, just down there, I'm going to lay that on and see if I think that works or if I think it's just going to look a bit messy. Let's see. Kind of works. I think I might leave it for just now and I might come back and I think I will put that in later on. I want to put in a little bit more colour in this area at the moment, so I need some more orange again. I'll pull this blue up, pop in a tiny bit more orange just there. I love this, that we can just whittle about the colours. Super easy. There we go, that's a bit better. And I'm going to add another layer of the light blue over that blue there. I feel like this is missing. Might need a bit of orange in it as well. Just to blend it. There we go. Work on that for a wee bit. And the horizon line will shift, like my little row of houses have shifted, so I'm just going to shift them. And that's totally fine. You can see the way I've shifted, I've got a little white bit down there, so I'm going to pop in some more orange just down there. Fill that in. So this month is quite fun and loose. You don't have to be too strict to create a beautiful sunrise, I think, because every single sunrise is different. There is no wrong sunrises at the moment. Just want to create coming out from the white of the sun, coming to yellow, and then orange, and light blue, and dark blue. What I'm going to do is pull in, I really like putting in the dark blue, just coming along the edges. There we go, especially on the bottom. It gives a real feeling of reflections. Am I still centered? I never know if I'm centered. There we go. Pretty happy with that. So let's work on this top for a little bit longer. I'm feeling this too sudden a change. I want to blend this. So I can take some orange and pull it up, take some blue and pull it down, take some yellow, maybe it needs some yellow higher up. Nope, needs some orange higher up, I think. Just that's better. Again, pulling the orange that's coming in the sides and circling the sun. This is quite sudden, so I'm going to pull some really thin strands of orange just right across. It's not quite showing up in camera, but I've got some orange going right across the white. And that just brings it up. See how I'm looking. Nice. More orange required. Ooh. Move that frame out of the way. Now remember, when you're felting along, it's a really good idea not only to pull up your felting from here every so often, but also to give it a wee shake, give it a pull, but to stand back and have a look at it from different angles, or have a look at it upside down, take a photograph of it, see how you like it, because your eyes do tend to play tricks with you. And it is helpful to look at it in different ways. And it's really good if you, once you've done it, before you finish it in the frame for good, just let it sit for a day or two and come back and look at it later and see if there's anything that you would like to change, any little changes or tweaks. I do want some yellow point. There we go, some yellow over the orange. That's nice to give sort of striations and layers. I will put a little bit of yellow up there. So although we're trying to keep the colours fairly together, you can let them fade over each other. That gives a nice effect of sort of clouds with the white at the bottom. The light blue, sorry. Put in a little bit more light blue. There we go. This scene I've also done in my Huntsman landscape kits this month, because I just love, I think orange and blue might be this month's colour of choice. I just enjoy doing it so much. I promise next month will not be all the same. So my little line of houses is disappearing, so I'm going to pull that up, make that a little bit higher there. There we go. Make sure that that bottom there is solid. You can build up the hills quite strongly, because you want them to pop out and stand quite proud. So you can put a little bit more on if you want. Make them build up. That's coming together quite nicely. See how I'm looking. You've got the sun there with the reflection in the water. I think the reflection might be too big. I'm going to make the reflection a little bit smaller. It's all just playing around. So to do that, I'm just going to add some more orange on top. Who am I kidding? I just want to make this all orange and blue. That looks a bit better there. So what I'm doing just now, which sounds strange, is I'm looking at the feet on my laptop, and it does give me a different view and a sort of more overall view of the picture, like standing back, which is why I say take a photograph of it, look at it. Looking at it from a mirror can also be quite helpful. Because I think my hands, no, I don't think my hands are mirrored this week. So a little bit, again, I'm pulling the orange apart. Yes, Jennifer, it will transform. You know it will. Everybody panics when it's messy. But it will come together. Do not panic. Because look how messy mine looks just now. Hi, Donna. I'm glad you enjoy watching me work. I love doing it too. And it's an escape from building shelves. Don't tell my dad. I think Mum might be listening into this. I'm not sure. Yeah, the messy stage is a fun stage. And then it'll all start to come together. So, what am I missing? Let's have a quick look. Again, pop it in the frame. I think more blues. And this one here, what have we got? Yeah. Maybe pull some more yellow out to the sides. Now these thin wisps of colour that I'm putting on, when you've been felting it for a while and you've been working over it, they do sort of pull in, which is really nice, and you just get glimpses of it. I'm going to work over this, over the whole thing for a wee while. I'm going to go 3 needles this time. 3 needles at a time, and just go over the whole thing. So I am in my in the new shop, I've got a new office in the back, which is, so I don't know if a few of you have been to my shop. It used to be just one room that I had shop, office, filming setup, everything. And now I have a shop in the front, and this is now custom set up YouTube filming extravaganza area that will always be set up and ready to go. So expect lots of videos from me, because I can just be like, haha, it's video time. So if you have any suggestions of anything that you'd like to see, please chuck them in the comments or fire in a message. Or if you have any questions. Oh, brilliant! Donna, I'm glad it turned out. It's really fun. It's nice. Once you get into the pattern, it's so nice. I've got to knit up samples in all the different colorways. I think I've got 8 colorways, so I'm going to have to make 8 of them. There we go. So I've been felting for a while, so this is going to be well stuck down onto the mat. So it's definitely time to, especially at this stage, when it's more gripped in and locked into the mat, I do it in little small bits like this, just with my thumb. Just quite gentle, not trying to do it in one big pool. You can see how messy my mat's getting. There we go. And again, so once I've pulled it off, it's really good to give it a wee shifty, give it a wee pull, and give it a smooth out with your hands, and you'll see your needle marks just beginning to disappear. And it's all, especially because everything here is horizontal, pulling it horizontally just softens it all out. So I'm going to put this in the frame and see how I'm looking. I'm going to do a little bit more on it, but it is quite, because it's quite a simple one, you get immediate results quite nice and quite quickly. So I'm really happy. I'm going to hold that up so I can see it. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. I'm going to work on the islands a little bit more and a little bit more on the sky. Yeah, that's coming together. We're flying through it today. So I get in frame. So I think my lines are a little bit too straight for my liking just now. I want to have more pops of light, like twinkling lights in the distance. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either pull it all off and put in little dots, or I might try this way, which is felting darker colours just over it in little bits and see if that chucks it in too much. I'm just going to do the dot method. But I'm playing just now. So it's too much. I think I'm going to thicken up my hill anyway. So let's, because although with 3D felting you can do with all the same stuff, we're doing technically 2D felting at the moment, but it doesn't have to be. You can make thicker areas and thinner areas to give it a little bit of texture. I haven't done it yet with one of the felt along projects, but you can also have something coming out of the frame. It doesn't have to be fixed in the frame. Jennifer, I'm sure yours is beautiful as well. I have 100% faith. I'm getting some nice thick hills. Just to make them stand out. I want to pull that. So hey Judith, Thank you. What was I about to say? I got distracted. Yeah, so although I've told you to always go straight up and down with your needle felting, you can go at an angle as long as you don't bend the needle. So if you want to move something just slightly, like I want to pull this hill down, excuse me, I'm going to go in and pull it that way, and that will pull it down slightly, pull everything down. But I'm still going straight, I'm just going at a slightly different angle. I can do the same here to go up. There we go. I like that little bit more, just definition in the hills. I do really like some just solid black, but no, putting in some islands. Some islands. I keep saying that tonight. My brain is definitely mush. Putting in some lights. So we are going to try it with the dot method. So I'm going to take just little bits and scrumfle them. As Judith knows, scrumfling is a technical term, and if anybody that's listened to me and Judith felt along Foxy, we just made up hundreds of words then. That was very good fun. And there is a new Judith collaboration in the works, no pressure. There we go. Now you can see I've got little gaps. That makes me a lot happier. And that just gives the impression of twinkling lights in the distance. I'm going to do the same on the other side. You don't have to do the same on the other side. You can just have it one side, depending on what island you're looking at. I'm doing just a little bit. And these will felt in a little bit more as I'm felting it down better. So don't worry if they're too bright just now. How is everybody doing? Anybody finished? There we go. That is a little island in the distance. I might take this back. I am not making any promises. Put some highlights on the top of the hill. Let's see how we go. I might eat this. Just taking some yellow and just laying it so this at the top. How does that look? I didn't do it in the other one. Maybe not yellow, maybe orange. Let's see. And again, nice thing about needle felting, excellent Rona, is that there is, if you don't like it, just pull it off and start again. I think that tiny bit of orange might make a difference. And just give it, what do we reckon? Gives it a little bit of reflection, even in the hills. Oh, I promised I was going to put some hill reflection, didn't I? In the water. I might take that orange back. Yeah, that's. I like my hills dark. Let's, now that we've got, now I'm happy with the colours on the rest of it. I'm going to try putting the reflection in because I did like that. My sunset landscape, the handspun one, does have the reflection in, and I love the reflection. So I'm going to take my fibre always gets in such a mess. I'm going to take just this tiny amount of the dark brown. I'm definitely leaving a gap, just letting that mirror the shape of the hills. So I'm pulling that up there. I'm leaving a gap between the horizon. Now you do not have to do this. I might take it back. I'm not sure yet. I do really like it when it works, but it has to definitely work. Morgan is going to be wonderful. It will not. I see your winky face. You know it's going to work out. There we have a little bit of reflection of the hill. Felt it. I'm going to go around it and then chuck it in the frame and see how I like it. So this will be up for you to watch as soon as it's finished, so you can re-watch it again and again. I'm also going to, between shelve making this week, get it down edited into a 10-minute speed run. Just gives you a quick overview to get you going. And if you want to play and pause while you're watching it without hearing my slow rambles. It'll be deliberate rambles in the speed run. Whereas just now I'm just absolutely rambling. There you go. Let's have a look in frame. So I'm just going to feel the frame and decide how much of the blue in the top and bottom I want. Line it up with the top of this. And press down. Am I happy with the reflections? I don't think I am. I don't think I like the reflections. I think it's too, in my one, it's too messy. I'm just going to gently pull them off, and they never happened. But feel free. I love the reflections in the knitted one. Feel free to pop reflections in your one. I also want to centre that up slightly. There we go. That's better. So I like to pull the frame a little bit past the front and then push it back, because that gives a nice sort of rounded look to it. So there we have, squinty, there we go. So you can see I've got two very different ones here, even though they're kind of the same. But I think they both have wonderful merits. So I'm definitely going to go in, I think, still got 5 minutes. We're going to go in and put in a bit more blue up the top, because the blue's all disappeared. But yeah, I'm putting a little bit more of the blue in the reflection, I think. I'm just passing the messy stage, I think. So what was it? More blue coming down. Let's be bold. Put in a lot of blue. Squinty. Oh, not even on the screen. A bit more orange just lower. There we go. And some of that blue, the light blue, is starting to poke through, which is nice. I'm going to fade the orange into the blue there. Just with a thin layer of blue. My brain is definitely mush. Orange. There we go. Let's pop a tiny bit of the light blue on top. Just to give peaks. Perfect, that's a bit better. So I've got more lower blue. I might even pull a little bit in at the side. Another thing that I've never mentioned actually with felting, but some of you have already picked up on, is that these little scrappy bits that I've got left, I keep them all. I've got a box full of them, and when I go to make a new project, I just have a rummage through the box. There's never any wastage. I can also spin with all these scrappy bits and things. It's every bit is used. So I was going to also add some more the dark blue because that produces nice reflections in the bottom, in the water. Chucking in some more. Oh, that's orange. Some more little reflections in the water. And again, I'm keeping everything because I want this to be quite a still feeling scene. So I'm keeping everything very horizontal. If you want more movement, you can scrumple it up and move things around. But I like the calmness of the morning. So how are we all feeling? That's almost, I'll give it, because there was a slight delay. I've got a new software that I'm trying after last month's disaster. I'm trying a new software. So there was a slight delay at the start, so I'll go for another 5 or 10 minutes after, or 1 hour if that's okay. I think this new software is working and I'm quite happy with it. Yep. So my hills are a little bit bigger on this one than the last one. But your hills can be any size you want them to be, in any shape as well. If you think your hills are too big or too small, you can also still change it. So you can add on top, you can take away. You're in control. Don't let the hills be in control of you. You're in control of the hills. There we go. little bit more yellow. There we go. That's too white at the edge there. That's better. I've still left that little white bit there for the sun. Do I want to pull that yellow up and make my sun a little bit lower? I think that might be what's annoying me. Still on frame. So I'm shifting my sun slightly. I'm turning back time. Totally doable in felting. So I'm just going over the white with the yellow. And I'm going to put a little bit of the sun, so the white, a little bit lower. That's a bit better. So the lower white. Just pushing through. That's it. That's where I was getting messy. It's a little bit long as well. This one's not that long. There we go. And then I can pull that orange down a bit and it all makes a lot more sense. In fact, no, I can't. So I'm going to, although we've got the basic shape out, I'm happy with where my colours are now. I think I'm going to set it aside for the night and come back to it with fresh eyes tomorrow before I call it done. It is always a really good idea to set it aside and come back to it later. See, oh, I did spot actually, I had a gap down there. I'm just going to throw some blue in there before I call it done. So any last questions or comments before I still got a couple more minutes before I run away. There we go. Let's throw it in the frame and see how it looks. Yes. Jennifer, does that mean that you're past the messy stage and that you love it? I bet it does. Putting the hill a little bit lower there. So you can put your hill in the middle, lower, top, anywhere that you like. Especially because we've done a little bit more around the outside than we needed to. It means you've got that freedom to shift it about. Let's compare the two, see where we stand just now. So ignoring the obvious mess at the side, let's push it in, shall we? straight and get you straight. So I'm fairly happy with those two. Oh no, Rona! Don't stab yourself, please. So yeah, I think we are pretty happy with that. I'm gonna sit on it for an evening. I think I'm gonna add in a little bit more blue at the bottom, but as a landscape goes, it's gonna set up for the end card. I'm pretty happy. I hope you guys have all had fun as well. And no one stabbed themselves too much, Rona. Yes, Rona, tell us you're okay. Don't go quiet. There we go. So come back in a day or a week before you sew to put it in the frame completely. You see there's all the excess around the outside. So all you do is grab, once you've tightened it up and you tighten this really tight, sometimes I put double-sided sticky tape on the inside. Then you can just chop the back off like I've done here. So I've just cut around the edge, to make it nice and neat. And it just sits in the frame. Quite nice. You're okay. Okay, good. Phew. There was panic there. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody has had a wonderful felting hour. I really look forward to seeing all of you guys popping them in the Facebook group of what you've done so far, and then in a couple of days how it's finished off, and anything that you've made, anything felted to put in the Facebook group. But yeah, I am away to go and build some more shelves and get some more cuts on my fingers, because shelf building is dangerous. But yeah, thank you all. Thank you.